The grand hall of Velra shimmered with golden lights. Delegates from over 50 alien worlds had gathered. It was the first time in 100 years that such an important meeting was held on neutral ground. Everyone waited for the Queen of Velra to speak. She was wise, powerful, and known for her calm judgment. Queen Alari stood tall at the center stage, wearing a long white robe that sparkled like stars. Her purple eyes looked across the crowd. Her presence made others silent. Without speaking a word, she raised her hand to begin her speech. But then something strange happened. Her fingers trembled. Her voice broke. She staggered a step back. A cold hush spread through the hall. The Queen's eyes rolled back, and she collapsed to the floor. Gasps echoed. The guards rushed forward. Alarms rang through the Golden Chamber. Her advisors shouted her name, trying. To wake her dot in a back row stood a human diplomat named Logan. He wasn't important, not to them. Just an observer from Earth. But his eyes were sharp, and his training was deeper than most knew. He wasn't just a diplomat. He had once been a combat medic during Earth's hardest wars. And what he saw in that moment wasn't mystery. Was familiar. He had seen it before too many times. She's going into cardiac arrest, Logan whispered. No one listened. The alien doctors pulled out advanced tools, scanning the Queen. Her pulse was weakening. The machines made strange sounds. One of the healers looked up, terrified. We don't understand. Her body is rejecting our medicine. Another added, it's as if her systems are mimicking something human. Logan stepped forward, slowly. Let me help. The guards blocked his way. Stay back, human. Logan raised both hands to show peace. I've seen this before. On the battlefield. Your Queen is dying, and I know how to save her. The lead healer shook her head. Impossible. She is Velran. You are not even close to our biology. But the Queen's breathing was short now. Her chest barely moved. Logan shouted, if you don't let me help, she'll die within minutes. The hall was tense. Delegates argued. Some shouted for security to remove the human. Others asked what harm it would do if she was already dying. From the upper level, a young alien noble Prince Ellen stepped forward. He was the Queen's nephew. Let him try, he said, voice strong. She's all we have. Give him 1 minute. The guards hesitated, then stepped aside. Logan dropped to his knees beside the Queen. Her face was pale now, her hands cold. She's going into full neural shutdown, he said. He placed 2 fingers below her neck and 1 hand over her heart, using an old Earth technique, biopressure CPR. He pushed rhythmically, not with strength, but with timing. It was something Earth had discovered after decades of studying mixed species biology. The alien crowd watched in silence. This was not high science. It looked like a primitive ritual. But Logan focused only on the Queen's shallow breath. He closed his eyes and whispered, come on, come back. Seconds passed, then 30, then 40-5. Suddenly, a sharp inhale. The Queen gasped. Her chest rose. Her body jerked once. Her eyes flew open, glowing faintly. She blinked slowly, as if waking from a dream. The room exploded in noise. The guards moved in. The healers scanned her again. The readings were weak but improving. Logan stood slowly and backed away. Prince Ellen looked at him, shocked. How did you do that? Logan replied, voice steady. That's an old Earth technique. It works when machines fail. It's not perfect, but sometimes it's enough to bring someone back. But how did you know what was wrong? The healer asked. Logan looked down at the Queen. Because those symptoms, I've seen them before, in humans. The Queen, still weak, turned her head toward Logan. Her lips moved. A soft whisper escaped her mouth. Logan, The hall went silent again. Everyone turned to stare. How did she know his name? They had never met before. Asterisk the guards surrounded Logan instantly. Weapons hummed. Energy crackled in the air. Step. Away from the Queen, barked the captain of the Royal Guard. Logan raised his hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. He had just saved the Queen's life, but now he was being treated like a criminal. "I'm not your enemy," he said calmly. "She needed help. That's all I gave her." Prince Ellen walked forward, waving his hand. "Lower your weapons." He acted when no one else could. The guards hesitated but obeyed. Alien doctors swarmed the Queen's body again. Their machines now picked up something new. Her heart rate was stable. Weak but steady. Recovery signs. "Detected," one of the healers said, amazed. "But how?" Another whispered, "He did something with pressure points. We've never seen that method before." The Queen, still lying weakly, opened her eyes again. Her voice was soft but clear. "Let him speak." Everyone froze. She turned her head, her glowing violet eyes resting on Logan. "You knew exactly where to press. How?" Logan knelt beside her, keeping a respectful distance. "Because my grandfather was a battlefield doctor. He trained me. Earth's old techniques can sometimes fix what machines can't." The Queen closed her eyes, as if remembering something. "Your name is Logan, just like him." Logan's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, the chief counselor of Velra arrived. He was tall, thin, with scales that shimmered like mirrors. His name was Vicar, and he did not look pleased. "This human has touched our monarch without permission," Vicar growled. "This is a violation of royal protocol. We must detain him for investigation." "But he saved her life," Ellen protested. "We don't even know how she collapsed," Vicar said. "What if this is a trap? What if the human is responsible?" The room filled with whispers. Doubt spread like smoke. Logan didn't flinch. "If I wanted her dead, I wouldn't have saved her." Vicar narrowed his eyes. "Or perhaps you needed her to trust you for something worse." Two guards stepped forward to take Logan away, but the Queen raised her hand weakly. "Stop." Everyone turned. She struggled to sit up. One healer tried to help her, but she waved him off. "I will speak." "And he will stay?" Her voice, though faint, carried across the hall with surprising power. She looked directly at Vicar. "You say we do not know how I collapsed. You're wrong. I know." Gasps filled the room again. "I was poisoned," she said. Whispers exploded. Eyes turned in every direction. Some looked afraid. Others looked guilty. Logan's expression darkened. "Poisoned? How?" The Queen looked at him again. "That's what I need your help to find out." Vicar stepped forward. "With all due respect, Your Grace, we cannot allow a foreigner." "You can allow nothing, Counselor," the Queen said sharply, cutting him off. "I am still your monarch." The room went silent again. Then she looked back at Logan. "You said your grandfather taught you. What was his name?" Logan hesitated. "Marcus Vane." The Queen closed her eyes. For a long moment. "Marcus. Yes, I remember now." Logan blinked. "You knew him?" She opened her eyes and whispered, "He saved me many years ago." On Earth. The hall froze. That statement changed everything. Vicar stepped back, stunned. "That's not possible. The Queen has never left our world." But the Queen didn't argue. She only looked at Logan and said, "You remind me of him." Prince Ellen looked around the room. "Then maybe we should listen to him." The Queen nodded once. "Keep him near. I trust him." Logan stood, confused, but calm. This day had started like any other, watching from the shadows of the galaxy's politics. Now, he was in the center of it. Something dark was hiding behind this attack. And somehow, he was already part of the story. Asterisk. The news spread fast. By nightfall, every major world in the Galactic Union knew the same thing. Queen Alari had fallen, and a human had brought her back. But that wasn't what scared them. What scared them was how the Queen had called the human by name, Logan Vang. And worse, how she claimed to have once been saved on Earth. Inside the Queen's personal chamber, the light was dim. Strange devices beeped softly, watching every heartbeat and brainwave. She sat on a curved bed of glowing metal, still weak but alert. Logan sat nearby, quietly waiting. Neither spoke for a while. Finally, the Queen broke the silence. "You look like him," she said. Logan tilted his head. "You mean Marcus? My grandfather?" She nodded slowly. "When I was young, barely, out of my first cycle, I visited Earth. It was a secret mission. The Council didn't know. Only my old tutor. And I went." "Why?" Logan asked. The Queen looked toward the window. Curiosity. Back then, Earth was quiet. No wars. No starships. But I saw something there, something pure. And I got sick during our visit. Logan leaned forward. "What happened?" "I collapsed. Just like now. And your grandfather, he found me. He didn't ask questions. He just treated me using hands, not machines. It was the first time I felt safe away from home." She reached under her robe and pulled out a small chain. Hanging from it was a tiny silver tag, rusted and old. Logan's eyes widened. "That's a field med tag. From Earth. From the old wars." "I never removed it," the Queen whispered. "He gave it to me when I left. Said it would bring luck." Outside the chamber, not everyone was pleased. Counselor Vecker stood in a shadowed corridor, speaking quietly to two cloaked figures. "She trusts him. That makes him dangerous." One figure hissed, "You said she would not survive the poison." "I was wrong," Vecker said, "because of him." The second figure growled, "Should we finish the job?" Vecker shook his head. "Not yet. If we act too soon, it will expose us all. We watch. We wait." Then we erase them both. Back in the chamber, the Queen sat straighter now. Logan asked, "Why do your people act like humans are a threat?" She sighed. "Because we are afraid." "Of what?" "Of how easily your kind connects," she said. "How fast you adapt. You came late to the stars, but already you change everything. You challenge old powers just by existing." She looked into his eyes. "That scares them." Logan said nothing. He understood. On Earth, fear led to hate. Out here, it led to silence. And betrayal. Suddenly, a soft alarm rang. The Queen's medical scanner blinked red. Logan rushed to her side. Her heart rate dropped again. Not as severe, but unusual. The healer entered and quickly scanned her, then froze. "What is it?" Logan asked. The healer's voice trembled. "There's something inside her bloodstream. Something not made by Velren science." They projected the image into the air. Tiny shapes, sharp edges, moving like insects. "Nanotech?" Logan whispered. The healer nodded. "But not ours." Logan's face changed. "I know those shapes. That's old Terran tech, very old. Banned for decades. Then why is it inside her?" Logan's mind raced. He remembered stories about a secret Earth project meant to help soldiers survive any condition. But the tech had gone rogue, too adaptive, too unpredictable. The project was shut down. But what if some of it survived? And what if his grandfather had used it to save her long ago? He looked at the Queen. The nanites might be waking up again. And if they're malfunctioning, they could be causing your collapses. The Queen frowned. "Then what happens next?" Logan looked toward the door. "Now, we find out who wants. To make sure you don't survive long enough to find out. Asterisk, inside the royal medical chamber, the queen lay still. The room was too quiet. Logan stood beside the projection of the strange shapes moving in her blood. The nanotech shimmered. Under magnification, they looked like tiny metal spiders, each one pulsing with faint light. The alien healers whispered to each other, confused. "This is not Velron design," one said. Double quotes, no, ... "This is human," Logan confirmed. He stepped closer to the screen. These nanites were part of an old Terran project called Ember. It was shut down after it went too far. The queen stirred in her bed. Why were they shut down? Logan kept his voice steady. They were designed to heal, but they adapted too well. Sometimes they changed what they were meant to protect. Some called it evolution. Others called it a threat. She nodded weakly. "And your grandfather gave them to me." Logan looked at her. "It makes sense now. You collapsed on Earth when you were young. He didn't have time for slow treatment. He used what he had." "But why now?" she asked. "Why are they acting up after all these years?" Logan frowned. Something triggered them. A chemical. Or maybe a signal. Someone may have known they were inside you and used it against you. Down the hall, Counselor Vicker received a quiet message on his wrist device. "Nanites confirmed. Human origin. We may have found the key." Vicker smiled slowly. "Then it's time we take it back." Back in the chamber, Prince Ellen entered quickly. "There's a message," he said, "from the council. They're calling for an emergency vote." "Vote for what?" Logan asked. "To strip the Queen of Command," Ellen said, looking furious. "They claim her connection to Earth makes her unfit." Logan's eyes narrowed. "They're afraid." The Queen sat up, pushing herself even though her body still ached. "They should be," she said softly. Later that night, Logan stared at the nanite scans alone. He noticed something strange. A pattern. Each nanite had a core ID tag, like a digital fingerprint. Most were standard, but five had strange marks. Old Earth characters, ones used in the Ember, programs classified files. Logan opened his personal datapad and accessed his grandfather's military logs.1 record matched the ID tags. "Test Group Theta 7, Logan read aloud. "Assigned to ... Project Bondlink?" He froze. He remembered the rumor. Project Bondlink was meant to link nanites between two individuals, to create a permanent connection between them. He checked again. His own medical file, stored in the Earth Registry, showed trace nanites in his blood, two passed down genetically. He looked up at the Queen, now resting again. She and Logan weren't just connected by fate. They were biologically linked. Morning arrived with tension in the air. The Queen stepped onto the high balcony of the Velron capital, supported by staff. Her people gathered below. The Galactic Council members hovered above in their sleek ships. Watching closely, Logan stood nearby. Hidden from the cameras, she began to speak. "I have heard whispers," she said, her voice calm but strong. "That I should step down, that I am too close to Earth, that I am compromised." The crowd listened in silence. "Let me tell you what compromise is not. It is not being saved. It is not trusting the ones who helped you. Compromise is hiding in fear." She paused. "I once walked among humans. I learned not just their science, but their heart. One of them saved me as a child. His grandson saved me again. And now I know. Something inside me still remembers Earth." The crowd stirred. Some gasped. "And I don't fear it," she said, "because now I know I was meant to." Inside the palace, Counselor Vicker watched with cold eyes. "She's confessing," he muttered. "Foolish. Sentimental." His aide leaned in. "Shall we act now?" Vicker nodded. "Begin the next phase." find the source of the human's connection to her, and destroy it. Back on the balcony, Logan looked up at the Queen. He finally understood the truth. His grandfather hadn't just saved a life. He had changed the future of a species. And now that legacy was waking up. Asterisk. The Queen's speech echoed across the stars. Millions watched in silence as she stood tall, even while weak. Her words spoke of truth, of history, and of a human's touch that twice saved her life. She didn't hide her past, she embraced it. But, in the shadows of the palace, someone was already moving. Counselor Vaker walked through a hidden corridor below the royal chambers. His eyes were sharp, his steps quiet. He entered a dark room where two strangers waited. They wore black armor, faces hidden by smooth helmets. Their voices were cold and without emotion. "She has made the connection public," one said. Vaker nodded. "Then we move tonight. Kill the Queen. Kill the human. No traces." Up in the palace, Logan stood outside the Queen's private quarters. He had barely slept. His thoughts were heavy. The Queen had trusted him. Publicly. That meant danger. The Council wouldn't forgive that. Suddenly, a soft beep came from his wrist pad. Unauthorized signal detected. Origin, Palace lower decks. Logan's instincts kicked in. He ran toward the Queen's room and burst through the door. She looked up, surprised. "Logan? Get up," he said quickly. "You're not safe." Before she could speak, the lights cut out. Pitch black. And crash. A wall exploded inward. Two black-armored assassins stepped through, weapons raised. The Queen stood frozen. Logan moved fast. He tackled her to the ground, just as energy bolts ripped through the air above them. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Furniture caught fire. Guards! The Queen shouted. Too late. The assassins were trained to be silent, deadly, precise. One moved toward the Queen, blade drawn. Logan rolled over and pulled out a small old Earth defense tool from his belt, a shock pulse stick. Not powerful, but enough. He struck the assassin's leg. Zap. The figure stumbled but didn't fall. Logan grabbed a metal rod from the floor and swung it like a club. Crack! The assassin's helmet shattered. The figure dropped instantly. The second assassin moved toward Logan. But this time the Queen stood up. She raised her hand, and the nanits inside her glowed. A strange energy sparkled at her fingertips. "Enough," she whispered. The assassin froze, mid-step, body locking, limbs stiff. The nanits had sensed to her command. Then collapsed. The second attacker fell. Lifeless. The doors burst open. Guards rushed in too late. Prince Ellen followed behind them, pale and shocked. What happened? He gasped. Logan was breathing hard, one arm bleeding. Assassins, sent by someone who knew the palace layout. The Queen stood tall, glowing softly. Counselor Vaker. The room went silent. Moments later, a private security team raided Vaker's chambers. They found no trace of him. He had disappeared, vanished into the system. The Queen's advisors panicked. The Council called an emergency lock-in. The guards doubled, but Logan knew this wasn't over. That night, the Queen sat by the window, watching the twin moons of Velra. Logan stood beside her, arm bandaged, still alert. "You protected me." "Again," she said. "You gave me the chance," he replied. She looked at him carefully. "You didn't have to. You could have walked away." He shook his head. "My grandfather saved you once, but I think he left something behind." She tilted her head. "What?" Logan smiled softly. "You," she laughed gently. "You humans. Always poetic." But then her smile faded. "This will only get worse. The ones who fear Earth won't stop. They fear what you represent." Logan looked into her eyes. "What do we represent?" Change, she said, and hope. A soft silence followed. Then she reached for his hand. You're not just a diplomat, Logan. You're a link between two worlds. He nodded. And deep inside, both of them knew. This bond born from the past was now the galaxy's last chance to unite. The next morning, the palace felt different. Not quiet, not calm. Focused, ready. The assassination attempt had shaken the heart of Velra, but it had also revealed something the people had long forgotten. The Queen was not just a ruler. She was a survivor. And beside her stood a human who had saved her not once, but twice. Across the galaxy, Counselor Vecker's disappearance sent waves of fear and confusion. Rumors said he had fled to the fringe worlds. Others claimed he was gathering forces against the Queen. A few whispered that he was no longer alive, that the Nanites had hunted him down. But the Queen knew better. Vecker was still out there, watching, waiting, which meant she had no time to waste. Inside the royal hall, a new gathering began, this time not for diplomacy, but for truth. The Queen walked into the chamber, her robe silver, her eyes strong. She no longer needed support to walk. Her strength had returned and more. Beside her walked Logan, dressed in simple Earth ambassador robes. His left hand still bore a bandage from the attack. His right hand held a small data crystal. The crowd of leaders, alien, human, neutral, stood as the Queen stepped onto the central platform. I am not here to rule today, she said. I am here to speak, to reveal, and to choose. She looked around. For years, I carried something inside me, a gift from Earth, a second chance. Not just in body, but in belief. She turned slightly to Logan. I once met a man who saved my life on a small green world. He was human. He gave me something that Velra science never could, hope without fear. She paused, voice firm. Now, and 2 days ago, his grandson saved me again when my own people tried to end my life. Gasps filled the room. The truth was now public. Logan stepped forward and placed the crystal into the chamber's display unit. Images appeared in the air. Scans of the NANITES. Medical logs from Earth's old Ember project. Counselor Vecker's secret orders. His voice. His plan. The room went still. The Queen nodded once. You've seen the proof. The lies, the attack, the fear-driven plan to remove me and silence Earth forever. She took a breath. But I will not answer fear with more fear. I choose unity. The crowd buzzed. Whispers spread. Even the most silent species blinked in surprise. The Queen lifted her hand. From this moment, Logan Vane of Earth will no longer be treated as a guest. He will be named first advisor to the crown. Not for war, not for control, but for trust, for future. Gasps turned into applause. Shouts of protest were drowned out by cheers. Later, Logan stood alone in the sky garden, watching ships leave orbit. The twin moons glowed above him. The Queen joined him quietly. You know, she said softly, some still think I made a mistake choosing you. Logan smiled. Let them. She smiled back. I never believed fate was real, but now I'm not sure. He looked at her. Do you think this was fate? The Queen looked up at the stars. I think, she whispered, your grandfather gave me life, and you gave me reason. She held out her hand. He took it. No more royal titles. No more politics. Just two people, one human. One alien joined by legacy, by survival, and by something stronger than fear. Far away, in the dark corner of the galaxy, a shadow watched a screen. Vecker's eyes narrowed. They chose the human. He hissed. Behind him. A dozen cloaked figures listened. Then Vecker whispered one final word. Let them regret it. But for now. The Queen stood strong. The human stood beside her. The galaxy finally had a reason to hope. Asterisk.